When the summer season will come in, Hexie's man will go away. Yeah, and as the cat departed, the mace would surely play. We were on our early teens and we were longing for some fun. So every year we'd load up on gear and invade everyone. This man was always even afraid he would start up with 2 deadbeats drinking a jug of big. 2 weeks of glue on. If we were lucky, we'd get a few bursts of call. They swung from the ceilings and bounced off the walls. And if you can't handle it, go home, don't use your beds. Cause he'll put a mark on your balls and shave the eyebrows from your head at Hexie's parties. 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 Oh, Aaron man, well, you got his apples in the tips you faint on the street. And he opened there some tens of beer and then spake them all of these. Although it would be a thing they got that if somebody's made a chance. Through my state of protest, it was fun to watch him dance. And he danced around in circles, they dirty and drunk with fools. But nobody could have kept that fucking there was never any rules at Hexie's parties. 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 Oh. From your head at Hexie's parties. 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 Hexie's parties are drunks on smarties. Hexie's parties.
Hail, hail, and welcome to the HomeBhoys Leg podcast here on Monday, the 20th of October. We are back. I am in Casa de Harbour, here in fine suburbs, Drogheda.
County Meath.
Yeah, mate, you're Meath now, yeah, that's right.
Royal County.
Yeah, getting any hassle down the road, no?
No, I don't hassle soon them.
So, there's a lot going on tonight, so we're going to have
another caramel vodka.
I haven't let it the bag yet. There won't be too much sort of rambling at the start here. We'll get straight down to it. Joined by, by the way, we've no calls tonight either. We do have a couple of guests on, but there'll be no calls because there's nothing that important happening apart from the stuff we're going to talk about. So we're joined by Paul Larkin, back from Germany, in the bosom of the Allies now. How are you, Paul?
Please be gentle with me.
Is the fear still creeping up?
The fear is stalking me like Buffalo Bill right now, so I'll do my best.
And a man who lives with the fear on his shoulder, Jason Higgins.
Hola.
How are you?
Good mate.
So, of course, Harbour's here as well.
All right.
In his
It's a bit weird if you're in my house. Are you in my house? You know you like tea bags like
I've here a lovely cup of tea and some Jamaican ginger cake, and it's all going.
Right.
It's all going well. Great result to talk about at the weekend. I suppose we're going to have to restart. We're going to move on. We're going to have some guests on. We're going to have Joe Mackinac from the Kano. We'll talk about the Kano, the trip next Sunday that I myself will be going on, and also we're going to have Tara on, aren't we, from the food banks. So loads going on. Straight down to work. 5-0 against Ross County. The weekend. John Cadetti again. Anthony Stokes on the score sheet. And McGregor back. Strong looking team. Can't really complain. You know?
That's probably our strongest starting lineup with the exception of Chris Commons.
Yeah.
Kind of forgot Commons was the playing when they're playing that. And it does beg the question that can Stefan Johansson and Chris Commons play in the same team? If you want to go with that kind of lineup.
Well, if Stefan Johansson's going to play the same way he played.
I mean, he played a wee bit further forward.
Yeah.
The fact that Mulgrew was in the team and Brown, so I gave him license to be a bit further forward, maybe a wee bit more creative. or maybe it was just a fluke that it just happened to be a coincidence. I don't know. But it certainly seemed kind of that way, like, no.
But see that there thing we mentioned a couple of times in the show, that passing game that we sort of you can see him doing on YouTube. I mean, you kind of seen some of that at the weekend. Like, so I think the ball he played for Godetti played back from McGregor for the goal. I mean, there's just some great stuff going on.
Hang on a minute. Harry Boy's saying fix the sound. Dennis saying lost connection. Harry Boy, I think that tells you your own answer there. That's your end.
Paul, we'll go on to you. Did you see much of the game over there?
Well, I was in the vicinity, I tell you. It was, I mean, I saw bits and pieces, but of course, I'm sure anyone who's been in jail knows they do this bizarre thing where you're watching one game and the next minute it clicks to another one and then another one and then so back and forth. But for what I saw, I mean, Johansson clearly ran the show, playing a wee bit further forward with the kind of foundation of Mulgrew and Brown behind him allowed that. And he just, clearly, I think Jim McIntyre just never thought that he was going to be that far forward, and he just ripped in pieces with his playmaking. And, good to see Guidetti score. I know it was offside, but McGregor was a great finish. Stokes, fantastic, reminiscent of Kilmarnock all the years ago. And I don't know if Stokes' play's getting better with his hairline, but I'm thinking about going out for myself and improve my writing.
I was marking it there, it's getting better.
But yeah, I mean, it was a great result. It's a big week for Celtic. You know, it's the pressure was on after that Hamilton debacle, and first game we talked about it last time. The first game up, you know, you've got to get the points on the board and all that kind of thing. We're going into a big week with Astra at home, and then the following week against Kilmarnock, where Ronnie Dyler really needed it, and it was really good to see them respond with the best performance of the season. And as Harper touched on, I certainly didn't miss any players that weren't playing. You know, for some reason I think that every time Celtic drop anybody, it's a massive issue, players want to leave and all that. I don't think it's any coincidence that certain people then came out in the press and still were slagging Ronnie Dyler because certain people were dropping that. But at the end of the day, it's a Celtic win, it's a Celtic playing well, it's a clean sheet. I'm delighted.
Oh, fantastic. Jason, yourself, I mean, you mentioned during the game you thought Johansson was absolutely brilliant.
I think it was his best game for us. You know, I was delighted as well with the performance. Kind of agree with what I said earlier about with Charlie Mulgrew coming into the team, him and Brown, sort of the anchor role, give Johansson a bit of a free role to move forward. And they didn't have Chris Commons in there, so I think that maybe tells its own story. And I kind of think the two of them, me personally, I say it's arguably Chris Commons is still our best player, but with the system that Ronnie Dyler plays, I don't think there's a place for Chris Commons in the team. This is me just guesswork again. But one thing I would like to say is Ross County are terrible. You know, they've shipped 19 goals this season. So, you know, I think it's got a bit of perspective put into it, but you can only beat what's put in front of you, and it was a thoroughly excellent Celtic performance. And I think, getting Mikael Lustig back in place of Ambrose, I don't think you can underestimate the importance there. I think when you've got a settled back four like that, it just breeds confidence in the rest of the team. I thought the link-up play between Johansson and Stokes and young McGregor, I thought it was unshortly fantastic. And Guidetti, I think, is a player. I kind of disagree with Paul. I think he was in line. But I know what you mean, mate. It was maybe outside, but I'll take it all day long. And I was thinking about the last show that we done, and it was kind of the open season and the manager. And I'm kind of hoping that the Forays have got egg in our faces and he's rams it down our throats, because there's nothing more than any as one is for a Celtic manager to succeed. And especially with because I felt a bit guilty, but we were only being honest in the show. I felt a bit guilty because a couple of people were saying to us, maybe we shouldn't have said that. And that's fair enough. Everybody's got their opinion. But then when you listen to some of the media outlets and they were kind of having the similar tack that we were, I felt really guilty because I don't want to be the same as them, you know, because we're not the same as them. We're just Celtic supporters giving our honest opinion. And I really, really hope Ronnie Dyler succeeds. And it's a small step, but a big game on Thursday night against Astra. And just let's hope he is turning it round in this brand of football. Because see, by all accounts, see what I can see with my own eyes, the players seem to be enjoying themselves. They seem to be relishing playing for Ronnie Dyler. And they seem to say, we need to get to grips with his way of playing. And it all seems to be positive, you know. And so I'm just hoping that I jumped the gun. I can only speak for myself. I jumped the gun, sort of slating the guy, and I hope he turns it round. And many happy years at Celtic. Looking forward to.
Well, I mean, just to come on the Ross County thing for a minute. You mean you're not wrong. They were beyond bad. Like, it probably was the perfect place for Dyler to go and get after the break. Everything's calmed down a wee bit. And of course, we were a wee bit reactionary with our last podcast, and that's what we are. We're supporters. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It wasn't a bad place to go with the way their season's been going, for us to go and try and get a few goals, get the confidence up. 4 home games coming up now, which I'll tell a lot. I mean, I think we're still a long way from having egg on our faces, to be honest. Like, because I mean, it was still the decisions that he was making before were still baffling. But there's no need to go back over that old ground. Like, no, you can only take the small steps as they come, man. And Saturday was a huge positive, man. And I totally agree that the likes of Lustig coming back in just gives everything a far better balance. And even you've got Matthews back now till he gets injured in 2 or 3 weeks' time. It just looks. I mean, I would say that's the team that started. You could argue that's your best lineup. I kind of think the same of Commons. I don't know if that opens the door up for him for a move to Bolton in January, which probably I think a lot of the media were trying to push the other day, putting 2 and 2 together before. Who knows? But I don't know. We'll see. I'll tell you one thing I was a wee bit disappointed in. Skepovic coming on. Hasn't showed anything yet whatsoever. Like, he looks a wee bit lost. He looks a wee bit, I don't know, he doesn't look he's on the same wavelength with his teammates. I just don't know. It's just obviously time will tell. He's got to take time to settle in, but it's just when you see how Guidetti's kind of hit the ground running, it kind of makes him look worse than what he's been, maybe, even, if you know what I mean by that.
Maybe, but I think it's a goal. I think I've still got a wee bit of faith in Skepovic. I think it's a bit early to judge, but I do think he's a better player. If McGregor had squared that one, he's got to a tap in.
Oh, he should have,
and the one he's hit by the post, he's a wee bit unlucky there, I think. So I don't know. It's very, very hard to judge, and the kind of did with Pookie, you know, because he only get stops and starts, you know, at the start, and then he got a wee bit of a run, maybe a few months into his contract, where maybe then his head's gone. I just hope Skepovic gets a chance before he gets into the rut that maybe Pookie get into, because I do think he's got a wee bit about him. But as I say, when Dyler's got this rigid one up front, it's very, very difficult when you've got somebody like Guidetti, because you're not going to drop him. He looks as if he's fit like a glove into the lineup. Mm-hmm. So it's going to be really, really hard for Skepovic to get a game.
I think one thing about Guidetti, though, he seems to fall out of games in the second half, probably just due to the fact that he's not played a lot of football in the last year or so, and maybe even like say playing for under 21s through the week, and then having the game at the weekend, maybe just a wee bit too much at the time. He definitely seems, I don't know if he tires, but he definitely seems to drift out of games, and maybe that's where your man's going to get his chances. He's just coming on in the last half hour games until he gets a chance to come in to start. When you've got to remember, Guidetti can't play in Europe, so I don't know if will he start on Thursday night.
I don't know. The thing is, I'll put this out here, but the last person I'd start up front himself, Stokes.
No, definitely.
He just doesn't do it, but
no.
Stokes was brilliant on Saturday. So, I don't know. What do you think, Paul?
Well, I mean, I think Skepovic will be fine. I mean, I didn't think that, as you see, he's not had anywhere near a chance, but he's shown certain things, I think, that will make sure the manager's not panicking in that. I mean, just having the vision to go for that one in Salzburg, for example, for 30, 40 yards, you know, that's not a player lacking confidence that does that. I mean, it's a blow losing Guidetti again. I mean, because he must be thinking it's a bit stop-start, and as Harper says, I think that not just the goals he scored for under-21s, but the performance and getting it right up the French boy and all that, was all good for somebody like him. And Stokes, I like Stokes. I mean, I know he gets an incredible amount of abuse and all that kind of thing, but I think Stokes is the sort of guy that he's never had blinding pace, and Malone